Our council members are here. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So before we move to the public comment section of our meeting, our town clerk, Deborah Nichols, is going to administer the oath of office to two of our councilors who won re-election in the November election.
The date.
Yeah. This is the time of the meeting where we allow members of the public to come up and speak about items that are not on tonight's agenda. So if anyone in the audience or online has something that they'd like to share with the council, now's your time to do so. All right. Seeing none or hearing none, we will move to item 1, which is consideration of nominations for council chair. And so we will accept nominations from the members of the council.
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations?
Sure could be, Jim. Yes or no?
If not, we will call the vote. All those in favor of electing Jim Steele as the chair of the council, indicate by raising your hand. All those opposed?
I'm gonna recuse, just
And one recusal. So congratulations, Mr. Steele. You're the new chair. I'm going to turn the gavel over to you.
Hey, folks, bear with me. All right, I guess we're gonna go into items 002, consideration for nomination for town council vice chair. I will entertain anybody who wants to nominate somebody.
Nominate Councillor White.
second.
Any others? All right, hearing none. We'll take a vote. All in favor for Councilor White? Unanimous.
For yourself.
So congratulations. You're good where you're sitting? All right. We'll sit where we're sitting then tonight. All right, moving on to item number 3, the public hearing proposed amendments to the special amusement ordinance. I guess I'm going to open the discussion to the public or in the council right now. Anybody would like to talk at the council here or the public? Go ahead.
I've looked it over. I think this captures what we easement ordinance.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I will sit there and acknowledge that we have received public comments from other residents, from stakeholders. And I do want to thank everybody for participating in that. We have done a legal review through all of this, and I am in support of what we.
Thank you. Andy?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to abstain myself when it comes time to vote, but in the meantime, I just don't like this, okay? It's one more set of rules and regulations, one more impediment to business coming into the community, and it's gonna be impartial. We couldn't help but have it be impartial because it will be based on what the neighborhood looks like, okay? And you have a commercial zone, you have a residential zone. And the people that have property alongside the residential zone, nothing we can do about that. And the people that want to start a business in the commercial zone, they abide by the rules of the commercial zone. Nothing we can do about that. Arbitrarily adjust noise levels and things like that, according to the complaints of particularly a minority of individuals, is wrong.
Thank you. Anybody else? Zach?
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with Andy quite a bit on this one. I struggled with it. I was thinking we could add some sort of guidance if we are going to have some sort of noise ordinance in here for maybe a range or something to allow that. Whereas right now, if we just go forward, it would just kind of allow the council to do whatever. And it could kind of be situational, which I'm not sure a rule like this should be situational that way. So, and just to add to it, I did a lot of research on decibels and just the science behind it, and it's a pretty complicated thing. It's actually, it's a logarithmic function, so it's not like it's a linear thing where you're 5 feet away and you're 10 decibels. It's a little more complicated than that. So, I'd like to spend some more time kind of figuring out what verbiage we want to have in here, but that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. Linda?
I agree with you on this to some degree because you can't do situational all over the place. It's not fair.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the question becomes is it reasonable? That's the, if the venue is making every reasonable effort to attempt to, comply or to at least reduce the noise, that's the issue, I think. To me.
Yeah.
If there's so, I mean, that's just my thoughts, but I'd like to mull it over a little bit longer too.
Come on up to the podium, please, but I'm going to let Aaron go first.
I mean, there's things that are, that people can take steps, which apparently they are in this instance. So that should be something.
It should be accounted for, I think. Yeah.
Aaron?
So, I mean, I don't disagree at all. The worry I have is if we put something into stone. I have no qualms about, taking more time with this. I don't think we should be putting decibel. I think we'll set ordinance. Do think this is a good opportunity to revisit special amusement ordinance to allow for some consideration, because we have to balance both sides. I think allowing condition to allow entertainment and still consider the surrounding areas. So we just kind of think to strike the right. We should be putting input into and then waiting for that to go forward.
Yeah.
Let me get her at the podium. She's came up here. Go ahead. Can you state your name,
Good, all
please?
right, I'll wait. I just wanted to give you an update.
Can you please state your name for me?
Sorry, Renee Adams. You guys know me by now.
Thank you.
White Duck. I wanted to give you an update. We actually did take time to meet with the Doobies, and I believe it was a good meeting. We are moving forward with a shell around our staging after meeting with the sound engineer. We're going to start with that. I'm going to, once I have direction from the council, I have stopped scheduling entertainment for the summer because I don't know where I'm going with that. And I don't want to promise musicians time to have their schedule moved around because I can no longer have music. But I am, once this is ironed out, going to give the Doobies a copy of the schedule so they know in advance what's happening at the White Duck. So we are doing our due diligence, and I mean, we were unable to have music on New Year's, and conclusion would be okay on this for me. So I just wanted to let you know we are actively trying to be good neighbors.
Thank you. Linda?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put an end to, or, impact those types of venues. I mean, I don't, that's not what I'm looking at here. And the other thing about the decibel, I would imagine, I'm not a decibel expert, but I would imagine, depending on where the venue's located, next to a lake, mountains, anything else, you're going to get a varying wide.
Wind can push it 20 decibels.
Exactly. So you can't really do it by that. So again, if there's a reasonable attempt at doing this, I'd like to move forward on this, but at the same time, I get what everybody's, I mean, hearing this, I just don't want to impact future, concerts or anything, or, music.
Yeah,
venue.
yeah. My thought was a minimum decibel level for it's a special amusement permit. So like something where we can't go below. That way you at least have some protection to the business in that regard. That would prevent, someone saying you can only do 10 and you can't even do a public speaking, right? Because 10 decibels is so low. So, but I'm fine with it. I do have concerns myself with having it be so open-ended. So, and I don't have a good solution either. So.
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
I know in my thought process is that, we're accountable to buddy. So if there's a member on, or if we as a council decide to be really restrictive for some reason, I mean, obviously I don't feel that way. Then I would be more comfortable to someone could, if we get a recall since in the charter, to be able to address that.
Yeah, that's good.
Andy, go ahead.
Yeah, if everyone will look back to the time when we were charging the marijuana businesses an exorbitant sum really for the licensing fees, and we were charging $25 for a special amusement permit. Okay, I'll make my point. This is relevant. Okay, we eventually had to bow to the pressure and charge them the same $25 we would charge anyone else. Okay, and what I'm afraid of here is we're going to have 3, 4, 5, 6 businesses that get their special amusement permits under noise restrictions, different noise restrictions, for different reasons. And we could get ourselves into a real world of issues. Okay. I mean, it's, you let them be this loud. Why can't we be this loud? That person is 25 and a half feet from a residence. This person's 30 feet from a residence. Why is it different? I don't want to go there.
So we do also have a Board of Appeals who serves as our appellate body. And I would sit there and say that,
They don't appeal the town council hearing. No.
I think they could appeal this though. If we said a permit and then it failed, like we didn't pass it, the business could appeal it and then it could go back through. It would, I don't know how it works after that.
Couldn't.
That is correct. So under state statute, and there is a state statute regarding special amusement permits, the zoning board of appeals serves as the appellate body for permit decisions. So that would be the first step. If someone wanted to elevate it to Superior Court after that, they could do that. And so
for the decisions of the town council, Anthony?
that is correct.
Okay.
And so, and
Did
again,
not know that one.
and again, the town attorney did review this. And so he's aware that provision is in this proposal.
And again, maybe if there is some language in here that says reasonable, town council would take that into consideration, and it's not such that it's deciding every little factor. If the applicants are taking reasonable action to mitigate any type of noise,
Yeah, that's a good point. That's some verb. Yeah.
reasonable in here, it is subject to our but it's not so open that it's, you have to take into consideration what the venues.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah,
Close it, yeah, I'll close it to the public discussion. Thank you. Yeah, item 4, consideration of proposed amendments to the special amusement ordinance.
I'll move to approve the amendments to the special ordinance as proposed. Oh, as reasonable, yes. With that, please. Yeah, which,
Well, that's, I'm
What?
trying to think, why don't we put that on?
well, right. What I might suggest is, so this doesn't have to be a final decision tonight. So this is the first reading and there can be a second reading. And so if you want me to go back and look at this and find some places in there where we add the reasonableness of noise, light, whatever the case might be, then
Waive the second.
Yes.
well, so what would happen is that you could approve it on first reading tonight and then approve it on second reading, and then that would be your final decision.
Right, so we can, so
Or we
we,
could waive the second reading.
but people here might want to see
Yeah.
it in writing.
Yeah, well, next time,
it's inserted.
next time would be the second reading, Roy. So,
It probably makes sense to do that, Just FYI.
again,
No, what-
so by approving it on first reading, you are, without waiving the second reading, you are in essence sort of approving it or tabling it for a final decision until your next meeting.
Okay.
approve the amendments to the special. Subject to the term reasonable being added throughout the.
Yeah, and then we'll do the second reading and we can. see-
Second motion.
Yeah. I'll second that.
Okay, I got a second. Any other discussion? So I'd like to say something on this whole topic as well. Kind of stay quiet with this whole thing. I find it very, very hard to regulate this. And I think it's almost next to impossible unless you have a lot of money vested. I mean, Zach's done his research. I did some of mine as well. And looking at it, and we compared few notes on the whole thing, but even having, and I know we were talking in the last few meetings, being able to measure it, and anybody can buy it on Amazon or do this, but if it's really not truly calibrated, and I work in the medical field right now, if it's not calibrated, it's not accurate. I mean, and that has to be done. Correct. So, and it's awful hard for us to do this. I just think, and what I'm really pleased about, and thank you for the White Duck and the Doobies to be here, is you guys should be still in the conversations and working this out as best you guys can. And I was very pleased to hear you guys you had the talks and kind of maybe come to some terms with that. I think maybe the clamshell or shell you're going to try to put up to avoid some of the noise back towards them. I don't think you can eliminate it. I drove by, they're pretty close and it's just unfortunate and I get it. So I feel bad for that, but I'd like everybody to kind of still live their lives. You guys to do business and them still live in their home. So I think you got to find that cohesiveness and I hope you guys do. I really don't know if it really should be here at the town council because I don't want to be dealing with every complaint that comes to this council. I think it should be fair and I think people should be reasonable. So that being said, let's take a vote. All in favor? We already got a motion and a second. So all in favor? Okay. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? 2 opposed, Andy?
Abstention.
He's abstaining. Okay, abstaining. Thank you. 1. So first reading is passed and we'll be reading it again with some amendments.
Correct. So-
Next time.
So for the folks who are in the audience who are interested in this, we'll go through this process again and then the council will get an opportunity to make a final decision at its next meeting.
I'd like to talk to you sometime too about this. I have a couple ideas, but I don't know if it's even what my thoughts is even legal to put down. So I'll run it by you. All right. Thank you, everybody. Next order of business is item 005, consideration of order 2026-01 to appoint the following Assessor Rob Duplessis. Is I'm saying that correctly? and the town attorney Phil Socia and Bertenstein and Scher.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Clear your mic.
What kind of budget or contract or anything do we have with the attorneys?
So,
Is this getting renewed at this point?
Yes,
Or
so-
like
so-
like today?
so as part of the budget process, what we do is we contact them and say, what's the contract price going to be next year? This past year, it was flat. There was no increase at all. Of course, we do have a 3-year contract with our assessor right now, so that's set in stone. And the rate with the attorney is based upon the experience of the it's a 3-year rolling average. So the fact that we didn't have an increase this past year, and I don't think that we've accessed them any more than we did the previous year, I'm thinking it's going to be pretty close to flat.
So I have a question as well, Jim.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Quite a long time ago now, it seemed to me like, you were calling the attorney quite a bit, and I said, isn't that going to cost us money? And that's when you mentioned that we had a contract. Okay, then more recently, and you said we don't pay for each individual call, we have a flat contract. And then more recently, as a member of the Charter Commission, when we asked to have the attorney present, you said that would cost us extra. So what does the contract look like?
So I'm happy to provide a copy of the contract. It
We
does,
voted on that.
yeah, it does not cover all services. So there are some services. So when I talked to Phil about attending each of the Charter Commission, he said that would be outside the contract if you're expecting me to be at a monthly meeting each month. And so you would be paying his normal rate. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $350 an hour, including if we were to require him to drive up here, the drive
Well,
back and forth. And so there are some services that are not part of that contract, labor negotiations.
That was well known when we voted on it.
so, well, I think that commission would have just been happy to have him on YouTube once.
He's going to appear. He won't be at this next meeting because he already has a prior commitment, but he will be at the February meeting.
Well, I'm not arguing that point here. I'm just want to be a little more clear on, what the contract includes and doesn't. That's all.
Any other questions, concerns?
When is the contract to be reached?
So it is based on a July 1 fiscal year.
So entertain a motion. I got it. I got a second. So, sorry, I'll take a vote. All in favor? All in favor? Thank you. Let's move on to items 168, discussion of building permit fees. And I think we lost our code enforcement officer, so.
Yeah, so KV-COG, the Kennebec Valley Council of Governments, recently conducted a study of building permit fees across the region. And they found that most municipalities are undercharging for their permits. And so the fee is meant to cover the cost of reviewing the plans, any inspections, and the administration. Of course, all those costs have risen significantly since we last updated the fees, which was in 2012. So it's been 14 years since we last adjusted these fees. Now, we don't do inspections here. We have, we do
Plumbing.
enforce MUBEC, which is the Maine Unified Building and Electrical Code. But we do that by requiring property owners or developers to hire a third-party inspector, and then they submit their inspection report to the code enforcement office. But the reason that it's important that the fee, the permit fee, cover as much of the cost of the service as possible, because without that, then the general taxpayer is subsidizing a service that benefits individual property owners. So, it's like any other fee. We would like for the fee to cover as much as possible the use of the service. So what I wanted to do is return next month with a proposed schedule of fees. But before doing so, I wanted to have this conversation to make sure that the council was agreeable to the concept here.
I got a few things. One is, we're already required through the good old state of Maine to adhere to this MUBEC code. And have you ever had a third-party building inspector?
Well, when I bought a home,
They're expensive. To have somebody come in and monitor throughout the building process, it's expensive. And then to go up on the building permit and we don't have to do anything on that particular piece. I'm not talking about the plumbing and I'm not talking about all that stuff, but to go up on that just because everybody else is, I am not for that.
I haven't proposed anything yet, Roy.
I've seen the numbers in the report of what
Well,
others are doing.
well, that's true, but hear me out because I was going to explain sort of what the approach was going to be when it comes to building permit fees.
Okay.
So right now we're charging based upon square footage. And to some extent doesn't make much sense because if we were doing the inspections ourselves, are we doing appreciably more inspections for a 3,000 square foot home than we might be doing for a 2,000 square foot home? Probably not.
Might take a little longer.
Might take a
That's
little
about
longer,
it.
yeah. So anyway, so what I would propose, this is the concept, is that we would just have a flat fee for all building permits. And so the code enforcement officer, even though he doesn't do the building inspections, he still has to review the plans and then and then our clerk's office has to deal with the administration of those permits. So it would be a flat fee, and it may be a nominal fee, but it would be a flat fee. We would propose increasing the fees for internal plumbing and septic systems. And the reason for that is we charge the minimum amount allowed by state law. And that is a permit fee for plumbing costs $40. That's for the first 4 fixtures. And then any fixture above that is $10. So, let's say a development has like $100 worth of fixtures. Well, the code enforcement officer has to go out and do multiple inspections of those throughout the building process to make sure, specifically with a septic system, to make sure everything is being done according to code. And so each time he goes out, that's time, that's money. So if we were to raise the plumbing fees, right now we're collecting 75% of that baseline fee. We would collect 100% of anything above that. So that's part of the proposal. And then lastly, there are actually 2 other things. Adding a surcharge to shoreland zone permits because the code enforcement officer has to go out multiple times for shoreland permits to ensure that all the environmental safeguards are in place to prevent runoff and phosphorus runoff into a water body. So anytime there's a weather event, he has to go back out there and make sure that the structures are still in place and they're still being effective. So that can involve multiple inspections. And then lastly, we do have some other permit fees for earth moving, timber harvesting, subdivisions, et cetera. And so we would look to make a proposal that would better align those costs with the administrative cost.
I get a couple other questions. What is the cost of actually going out and doing a building permit with we actually looked at the amount of time put into it versus what it's costing for the town?
So Mark earns, and I don't know exactly what his salary is, but somewhere in the neighborhood of about, $50 an hour. And so any hour that he's out there, that's $50.
What does it look like how does it compare to what we're charging?
Actually, I said 50. That would equal $25 an hour. I'm sorry. Just did the math in my head. So Mark, why don't you come up and why don't you?
So I'm just curious as to if we've done any sort of audit before we go and audit as far as what we actually have in these and what it actually costs for a building permit. to go through the whole process
So,
versus what we're charging.
so again, we haven't come up with the numbers yet, Roy. I wanted to get your buy-in on the concept first, because if you don't like the concept, I'm not going to bother doing the legwork that comes with coming up with the numbers. So
I'd like to see the numbers.
so that, okay, but first I want to make sure, again, before we invest the work, that you guys are at least good with the concept of the approach to this. So,
Well,
Curious,
Go ahead.
the
The-
environmental protection portion, I mean, is the DEP not doing these inspections?
then
Mark Arsenal, code enforcement,
the
no.
other
They
thing
do
is
not.
that we no longer regulate timber harvesting.
well,
That's
we
the
don't
state.
regulate timber harvesting, but if someone is cutting trees in the shoreland zone, the code enforcement officer has to go out, look at the trees, make sure that
That-
they're not overcutting, and mark the trees and say, these are the trees that you can take down at
But
these numbers.
That's
And then,
not timber harvesting.
and then-
Harvesting is a commercial act.
okay, okay, but, and then he has to go back out and make sure that only the trees that were marked are the ones that were cut down.
So the Maine Forest Service does regulate timber harvest, but that's only outside the 100-foot mark. So any
Right.
tree cutting within a 100-foot mark has to be looked at. That's just one portion of it. DEP does not, they will only come out for violations and they assist the town. They're not the disciplinarians. The town code enforcement officer is the authority having jurisdiction. He is the responsible, or she is the responsible party.
So Mark, why don't you explain about what you have to go out and inspect in relation to a shoreland permit to ensure that there's no stormwater or phosphorus runoff?
So let's just start with a new house. Let's go with a new house. We have multiple layers of inspections. You have to first make sure that the contractor is shoreline certified, which is state law. Once you do that, then you have to go out and look at their best management practices, which they've all been certified and trained in. If there's things that they're doing that the code enforcement officer doesn't like, then they have to readjust their plan. Then you have to, if there's a storm, you got to go out post-storm to look at making sure that the erosion control measures they have in place are working. So we are a town of 10 bodies of water. It is vital that we keep these lakes as clean as possible, and that's done by the planning board and the code enforcement officer. So multiple visits to a site in the shoreline zone is very possible. It's just things we have to do. It can be 2, 3, could be 4 visits. It depends. It's always a potential to visit until grass is growing. So then you have subsurface. You put your septic system in. You have minimum of three inspections on those now. Scarification. They get rid of the organics. We do an inspection. They go in, they set the system. I do an inspection. They cover it. And now, because of new ruling, they have what we call manholes. They have to be up to grade. So now you got to go back a third time to make sure that these are put into these systems over the tanks. There's actually lots of complaints from the pumpers because they know that these manholes have to be in and they're not being enforced. So there's a third inspection. Internal plumbing. It used to be you put a basement in, you do a rough in, you go look at it. Now you got a slab, you got to go do in floor. Once the in floor is done, then they do the rough in. And once the rough in's done, then you do a final. So there's at least one more inspection on plumbing. So there's lots of times to be out in that field, and covering that cost with a little bit of a permit increase is not out of the question. We are, according to most contractors that I've talked to in the last 10 years, some of the lowest fees in the state. As a matter of fact, they'll say, wow, your fees are really low. And not that we want to go and move on and price them out of the range, but we also want to make sure that we're looking at what I do or the code enforcement officer does versus what we're charging. You look at a shoreline permit, you got so many more steps just to make sure that these permits are being issued correctly. Are they outside the 100-foot mark? Are they, erosion control measures in place? Trees being cut? Squared opening to the to the ceiling? Is it more than 250 square feet? Is it less than 250? Is the clear opening 25% of the lot? You know, there's just, it's not a magic, do a permit and hope it comes out right. There's just lots of steps to issuing a permit.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Zach?
So yeah, I agree. I'm pretty aligned with Roy. I'm a little skeptical, but I don't have any numbers. But I'd say, you know, it shouldn't be, it's not probably too hard to pull how many hours we spent last year and what we accrued in permit fees, right? To see the difference there. I mean,
So here's the thing, someone's covering the cost, right?
Yeah.
It's either going to be the taxpayer or it's going to be the permit holder, but someone's covering the cost. And so the point of a fee is to try to shift the burden from the general taxpayer to the person who's actually benefiting from the service.
yeah, I understood. I just want to see how much it would bleed. And if it's like $100, then it's like, you know, but
So, and Linda was just on the back page of your memo, you can look here. So right now, a building permit, $10. So, you know, that's pretty low. Earth moving permit, $15. That's pretty low. Under the permit fees, the timber cutting trees is listed as timber harvesting, $15. So, you know, that's not very much of Mark's time. And so we just want to make sure that the people who are actually benefiting from the service are the ones who are footing the cost for the service.
yeah, no, understood. I just like to see numbers with Roy. And I think that, yeah, if you could pull those together, and, you know, obviously we can talk to some real things there. So.
Thank you. Linda?
Well, I look at it a little differently. I mean, we're all footing the cost for this stuff. Anybody that works for the town, we're all as taxpayers, those are the services that are provided. The question becomes is when you're looking at this permit fee schedule, do we feel that they should be increased? To me, just because we have all these folks working in these different areas, we're all footing the bill. We all need to be able to provide for those services. I don't think that we need necessarily look at it like, well, we have to overcharge some of these people. Some of these fees are very low. $10 for a building permit, come on. I mean, some of this stuff, you know, I could see keeping some of it the same, the septic permits, the subdivision, multifamily dwellings, but some of these other ones, I mean, the building permits, timber harvesting, those I think we could go up in, you know, and not even, you know, I don't feel that that's out of line. But at the same time, you know, what we pay for in taxes, we're all using those services at some time or another. So I don't want to lose sight of that, you know, and dumping it on the people who are actually going out there and doing some of this stuff. But I feel that we're all using those services. But again, I think the question becomes is the schedule need to be looked at and need to be revised? And I would say probably yes, some of this stuff should be, because I think it's low,
Excellent.
overly low.
I just, one more piece that in consideration of keeping the cost reasonable, I mean,
Yep.
we've been had lots and lots of discussion about the demand for housing. And this is, even though it's a small piece of it, I mean, let's face it, that's probably less than 1/4% of what a house costs. But still, you know, if we want to encourage the build, you know, people to build then I think that, you know, we should not necessarily strive to be at the top of the chart with, and I'm not saying we are, I'm just saying, I think that we should keep the fees reasonable. That's my input.
And do keep in mind, we've had this discussion before about other types of fees and what has our attorney told us about fees. The aim is to recover the cost, not to net a revenue, but to cover the cost. And so we're not looking at doing that. And I think to your point, Roy, I think regardless of what the fees are, you know, as long as they're not astronomical in the whole scheme of building a home, then these are, you know, this isn't going to discourage a developer from building a home.
At all.
Yeah, kind of sort of lining up with what Linda says. I mean, timber harvesting in this sense means you're going to cut a couple trees on your shoreland zone lot. Well, if you need to cut 8 or 10 or 15 trees, and the code enforcement officer has to come down and measure the size of the trunk of the trees and the size of the branches, maybe that are being trimmed and cut, that should be probably more money. The other hand, though, a certain amount of what our town government does is public service. And I'm not sure that we should be looking at recovering all the costs. Mark works very hard, and I in no way mean to say that Mark isn't earning his keep. But some of this is a public service. So, it's just like the police. If you had to call the police to your house, you're going to have to pay a surcharge. I mean,
Aaron?
Yeah, I was going to ask if, do we have the breakdown of, are we not making enough money to cover expenses in this department?
So I sent an email earlier today. I was just calling this up.
All the revenues in the,
Correct.
or,
Let me,
which I guess the expenses, but we also made an investment in software.
Yeah.
This year.
So year to date, the code enforcement office has generated $32,000 in cost. So, and that compares to, and of course, not all of the services that are provided by code enforcement are cost recoverable, right? So the expense, the code enforcement budget this year is $81,000. So,
There's room.
less than a third, or actually more than a third.
Just,
That's what I wanted.
can we just understand that 81,000 is not my salary. So there's other lines in that. So I don't want people to think that we're trying to recover 81,000 of my salary, please. And try to eliminate timber harvest in there because we don't do timber harvest anymore. So when you're talking about tree cutting in the shoreline zone, Andy, every tree cutting permit that comes through this town, I go visit at least once to make sure that these trees are truly what we call a hazard tree, because that's the only ones, unless somebody does a complete point system evaluation of their property, the only tree they can cut is a hazard tree that's deemed hazard by the code enforcement officer. So I go out and they'll take pictures. We'll determine whether it is a hazard. If it isn't, you may not get your tree cut. But if it is, what are we going to do when that tree is cut? Because replanting is vital in shoreline zone. Again, we are a town of 10 bodies of water, and our tax base is very high on these 10 bodies of water. So everything we do to preserve these lakes is nothing but beneficial to the taxpayer and our tax dollars. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll work on times and how much time is spent on each of these permits, but it's a near impossible task because I could be in one spot, go into a permit, come back, and then go to another permit because somebody calls in, hey, can you come out and look at this? Or I got a tree cutting, and I don't get to do them all in one shot, which would be nice. We can work on it, but it's considerable amount of hours when you're looking at tree cutting and you're going to Dexter Pond or Woodland Road or York Lane or wherever else it might be. Because they're never, a mile up Memorial Drive.
Can I finish?
Hold on a second. Dickie had his hand up.
Real quick. Was going with, I think we need to $3
Dick, you want to come up down to the podium? Awesome.
Dick Garrett, yeah. About the fee increases, they seem low and everything. But it sounds to me like we're recuperating about 50% of Mark's salary probably. But you say it's not fair to the taxpayer. What do you mean it's not fair to the taxpayer? Who pays his salary? Who pays this guy's salary right here? The taxpayer, right? When you build that new house, that $800,000 house or $300,000 house, you get a tax bill with it, don't you? Who do you think's paying for that permit? Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you.
Very quick. Sandy Steele. I have two, actually. So has anybody looked into, are there towns that provide services? Like we have to have an outside inspector come in. Are there towns that provide that service and what are their fees? As compared to what?
Let Anthony answer that.
Yes, they do, but they have much larger staff. So if we were to do all of the building inspections in Winthrop, we would need more than one code enforcement
Right, I'm just
officer.
wondering what their fees are.
No, she's saying the people that are equivalent to us that do it to like we do it today.
Like,
Oh,
that's all I'm wondering, like if there's,
So Sandy, let me make sure I understand your question. So are you saying that towns that do not do the inspections themselves, how much they're charging? So there is a chart here, and so I'm not sure which of these towns are all doing
towns.
the inspections.
Research our towns.
Yes.
Pretty pricey. So
Yeah.
when you're a taxpayer, paying your taxes, getting your building permit, and then you get this like $1,300 charge from an outside inspector on top of it. So it's
Yes.
hard to sell.
So the only communities that are doing their own inspections are either really small communities that don't have much development or really large ones like Augusta or Waterville that has more staff where they can go out and do all the inspections themselves.
With that whole like, going out and measuring trees, I just have, my curiosity has been this for a long time. I've lived in Winthrop and Memorial Drive. Over the years, over the last maybe 10 years since there's a lot of tree cutting, building. A lot of stuff has changed. Has anyone, I mean, if we're getting paid, permits are going out and we're measuring, like that's a lot. So does everybody call in when they cut trees and when they add additions? Because it would seem to me that there would be a lot of money coming in with all the stuff that's been done.
So this is a little bit of a different conversation.
The fines, can we following up on the people that aren't?
Yeah. So this is a different conversation. But yes, there are people.
Be a way to fund too.
There are people who do things without asking permission or getting the proper permitting beforehand. And in those instances, then we seek to recoup those costs.
So do we have a lot of that?
Mark can speak to that better than I
I'm
can.
just curious, because it seems like there's a lot going on and Mark, you must be busy with all.
So yes, there is a lot going on, and I do look at, as I said earlier, every tree cutting permit that's requested, I go look at. And replanting is a necessary evil in the whole ordeal, and it could be a year later. Because somebody gets a permit today for tree cutting, doesn't mean they're cutting that tree today. A lot of times they'll get them in the fall, but they're not cutting the tree until there's ice on the lake. They can haul it off the lake. So I just talked to Vassarboro, has about 1,500 residents less than us, so around 4,500. They do about 200 permits a year. June 30th, I did 457 permits from the gamut of plumbing, subsurface, tree cutting, earth moving, building, all of those permits. There's 457 of them for a town of 6,000. That's honestly a lot for one person, but we do it, and we do it correctly, and we do it with pride, but we do it. So it's hard to compare a town even of the same size that potentially does their own inspections because they probably have somebody else on staff helping them. I don't know.
So
I don't know because they only do 200 permits, and that includes all of their permitting. I just talked to the CO there today. It was kind of ironic because they're looking at the iWork format for their permitting, and he was kind of stunned that we actually do that many permits. So it's a busy little town, even though we don't do inspections on building, which I'll be honest is a great liability for the town not to have to worry about because they are certified third-party inspectors that's what they do.
Yep. Thank you, Mark. If you get something else to add, because I just.
yeah,
wanna move off.
just one Just
Okay.
one thing, since it was brought up about the cost of a third-party inspector. So Waterville does its own inspections, and so
Okay.
their building permit fee is $2,500.
Okay. So, yeah, all right. So I think, yeah. Yeah. So I think we got our marching orders. Like, I know for me, I'd like to see what the numbers that you guys are kind of pulling together. And just my 2 bits on the end of this tail end of this discussion. I'd like a flat fee, almost everything if we could. Some of the prorating stuff, I mean, I'm building now. I got a permit and I've hired a third-party inspector and it is expensive. It's $950 to have the guy come out and do the visits, but I understand why we do it. I'm just saying, I understand the process a little bit and appreciate all that Mark's putting in and everybody that puts in for the process, but I'm pro if you could just make it a flat fee. It'd be nice to come up and say, this is a flat fee, boom, and call it a day.
And I like that concept, Jim, simply from an administrative standpoint.
Yeah.
It's easier. We're not having to
Yeah,
calculate square footage and how much per square
Correct.
foot. It's just,
yeah.
you're building a home.
And make
Here's
it
the-
fair. I mean, I know some houses are bigger than others, obviously, right? But if it's a fair price, it's just that price and we go on with our day. So I'm going to close this discussion. And we're going to move on to items, I think it's at 006, discussion and consideration of a 4-day work week for some town office operations. So I'm going to open the discussion. Would you like to start?
So this is not a new discussion with you folks. Back in June, we increased we changed the hours of operation for the clerk's office and the code enforcement officer to accommodate one day where we had pre-8 a.m. Hours and post-5 p.m. hours. We've got 2 of our clerks here. I think they can attest to the fact that we're seeing a lot more foot traffic post-5 p.m. in particular on that day. And consequently, as a result, as you folks know, that office is only open 8 a.m. to noon on Fridays. We also see a fair number of people who are confused by the rejiggered, it's the inconsistent schedule. And so they show up and they're disappointed because they're not able to conduct their business. Now, a lot of times we're able to intercept them and say, hey, if you come back on a Wednesday evening, we can take care of you. And they seem very satisfied with that. I believe, and I think our town clerk agrees, that we can better serve the public by offering a consistent schedule that has both pre-8 a.m. and post-5 p.m. hours 4 days a week. And one of those days, on Wednesdays, we would go to 6 o'clock. The other days would be 7:30 to 5:30. That is the primary benefit. Now, in addition to that, right now, I think we're fortunate with the staff that we have in our clerk's office, and particularly the leadership of that clerk's office. And I think we have a better chance of retaining that talent if we have this 4-day work schedule, which I believe 19 out of 29 Kennebec County towns, their town office is open 4 days a week. And so, what do we want at that front counter? High quality customer service. You can offer that if you have people who are experienced, knowledgeable, and committed. And we have that right now. And we can retain that staff for a longer period of time with this work schedule. In addition, should we, and I hope this doesn't happen, should we lose one of those clerks, we're going to have a better chance of recruiting an experienced clerk in order to provide that high quality service with a 4-day work week. This is what more and more towns are doing, and more clerks are looking for that sort of schedule. And again, an experienced clerk is going to be able right off the bat to offer a higher level of service than an inexperienced clerk, just because of the mountain of minutia that clerks must master in order to provide good service. So for those reasons, we really would like the council to consider a different work schedule, 7:30 to 5:30, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, 7:30 to 6 p.m. on Wednesdays. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about that.
Deb's at the podium too. You'd like to say something, Deb?
Yeah, real
Go ahead.
quickly, I agree with everything that Anthony just stated, but I really want to drive home the point that this change is about maximizing value for and government service for the taxpayers that we have here. It's good to retain and look forward and have great clerks that are going to fight for jobs here 10 years down the road. Who knows what the future brings? But the more important fact is that this allows us to maximize our government services for the most amount of taxpayers. What happens is when you have a 4-day work week that has extended early hours and extended late hours, you're able to more equitably treat those taxpayers that don't have the flexibility in their jobs to do that. People that can come in during banker's hours generally can come 5 days a week. It's not a big deal. This just reaches our residents in a more equitable way. In addition, we're also going to be open 1/2 hour longer at that customer service window than we currently do right now. So we're actually adding an extra layer of time there for them. They have more access to the code officer. You know, it's just this is an outdated way of serving residents. When I was a clerk in Augusta City Hall and I needed to come to Winthrop and register a new car, I had to use vacation time, very limited vacation time, in order to come down here and do that. And, you know, it's just not necessary to do that in today's world. It serves residents better and they get more value for their tax dollars. I want to drive home that point real clear. It's not about the staff. It's about serving our residents. I came from a town that had a 4-day work week. I came here because I wanted to do good things for my community. And if I did not believe that this was not in our best interest, I would not be up here advocating for that. Any questions?
Go ahead, Roy. Thank you, Deb.
We certainly do appreciate you and the improvements, and the staff, the improvements that we've seen in the last
Thank you.
6 or 8 months in the office. I do have a couple questions though. Friday numbers, do we not see anybody on Fridays?
We see a lot of people on Fridays.
Okay, how about Friday numbers compared to Wednesday night numbers?
Wednesday night hours are brand new.
Yeah.
So they're building and they're picking up. We're seeing a lot of younger residents that don't have flexibility. I think the time would extend that if we offered it longer, but they're really not sure when that hours are because there's such a confusion based on the radical schedule that's different every day. Oh, I thought you were open Thursdays until 6. Oh, I thought you were open Tuesdays until 6. You know, and we have to send them away and they have to come back the whole next week. So yeah, it is busy on Fridays, but it's equally busy.
I've had some discussions about this topic in the last
Yep.
few weeks, and people that are from other communities that are closed Fridays, and actually one just this morning. They are, and I'm talking taxpayers, I'm not talking the office, the clerk's office, and they're just they're not very happy with the fact that the town is closed Fridays.
You want to remember, Roy, that you're going to hear from the people that are unhappy, but you're not going to hear from the people that are happy. So I can say that I've done this type of work for 20 years. I've worked for 6 municipalities, 4 of which that did have a 4-day work week, and it works great. And
So
I also just want to add one really quick thing is that I've lived in this community my entire life. I have raised children. I came back here because I wanted to do good things. My family's been here for 6 generations. The only time I left was when I went to college. I would not be bringing this to you if I did not feel this was in the best interest of our residents.
And
I just want to say, I think that opening earlier and later helps me because like I said, you have to take time off to get down here to do your business. And I work in Augusta, so I have to take time off to register my vehicle or register something. So to me, it makes more sense if we can condense it into the shorter days, but longer hours. I think that helps people, in my opinion. That's just me.
Thanks, Linda.
I like the longer hours.
Thank you. Andy?
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Deb will remember a conversation I had with her about calling into another time zone late in the day, only to find out that that particular town office had a 4-day work week and they were still open. So I think that we should try this. I think we should, I always try to look for the middle road. Some people don't think so, but it's true. And I kind of think that maybe we should give this a 6-month trial period. And if we're hearing a lot of rough edges, then we'll have to rethink it. But in the meantime, I like it. I really do think that this will work and serve the citizens better. If we find out it doesn't, then we have a chance to look at it again.
I see more people at the podium. I'm just happy to let you guys talk.
Hi, I'm Carrie
This-
Huff. I'm deputy clerk here.
All right, Terry, this only applies to town clerks, right? Everybody else stays on a regular work week.
And the code enforcement officer. So you will recall that Mark's predecessor worked a 4-day work week, seemed to work fine. I don't know that there were any complaints about it. And so as Deb previously mentioned, people are going to have better access to the code enforcement officer because he's going to be here at 7:30. He's going to be here
That works.
till 5:30 or 6.
Okay.
All the other town office functions would remain 5-day functions.
Carrie, sorry.
No worries. I just want to say that being somebody that works the front line and has a lot of communication with our customers, we have received more positive feedback about being open late on Wednesday nights and being able to accommodate people that have to work out of town, which we do have quite a few residents that work out of town, versus negative comments for not being open a full day Friday. The positivity seems to be outweighing the negative, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And as somebody that's been in the customer service field for my entire career, with Maine General and now here at the town, I want to provide the best service that I can for our residents. And oftentimes that means people squeaking in at 4:30 trying to register their cars or their snowmobiles or whatever the case may be. And with the leadership that we have now, we are able to accommodate that to the best we can. But oftentimes, as we're walking out at 4:45, there's more people pulling in the parking lot, and we have to turn them away and say, well, we're open late Wednesday. And oftentimes we'll see them Wednesday night, come 5:30, 6 o'clock. So I know that it's a hard adjustment, but I do feel that it is in the best interest of our customers and our residents to provide the later hours and the earlier hours.
Great, thank you. Mark?
I'm kind of shy behind a microphone. So as Anthony said, my predecessor, Beth, was for 10-hour day week, worked out nicely. And it's kind of ironic. This morning, I had a contractor call me at 7:15 and say, hey, you in the office? So I said, no, I'm not there till 8 o'clock. And he's like, well, I wish you were. And I said, well, we're working on that. You can see me Wednesday morning at 7:30. And so he came in at 8 o'clock sharp. So having more access, longer times during a 4-day week definitely is beneficial. I have a degree in culinary arts, and I follow that up because you talked about a person complaining. What I learned in that field is when somebody is negative, they're going to tell 10 people. When they're happy, they tell 1. So that's kind of the same thing. Somebody's not happy, they're going to go tell 10 people they're not happy. But if they are happy, they're only going to tell 1 person. So that's how that whole I don't like it works. I wish the 10 people that were happy would come tell you guys that. So I've met people at the door at 12:05 walking out or 12:10 and explain to them you can come back on Wednesday, longer day. And they're like, oh, well, it's kind of disappointing today, but that's super good. So they do appreciate being open a little bit later and a little bit earlier to get in, especially if you work a 7 to 5 or 8 to 4 job. It's nearly impossible to get here.
Thank you.
Dick, Garrett here. I would like to say, what's that look for? The two girls that you, well, the third girl too, are very, very great. They do a super job. They're very professional. They know this stuff when you go in to register big trucks, little trucks, or snowmobiles without a bill of sale. And they know what they're doing, and they do a great job. And however, I'm not interested in what Kennebec County, what the other towns do. This is Winthrop. I don't care. You go to all the meetings you want. We've always had great services here. Fire department, police department. We've always had good services. Businesses is kind of tough on this schedule. The other concern I have is, let's say I hate this thing, you close on Friday afternoon. But if we're closed Friday, let's say we're closed Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and oh, it's a Monday holiday. That's 4 days. And what if we get a snowstorm on the 5th day and we're closed? I just don't see that. I'd rather give these two girls a raise. I think they're underpaid anyways. Would you rather have a raise and go back to 5 days a week? Well, the people I talk to and the business people that I talk to, they really hate that Friday, missing out on Fridays. And the early schedule, 7:30, a lot of people that I know work in Augusta, Waterville, Lewiston, they're on the road at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they're not home 5:15, maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock. I don't know, call me old fashioned, but I like the old schedule better. But again, you girls do a great job. I appreciate what you do. Thank you.
You.
I just want to comment that I too am not interested in what other communities do. I'm interested in how I can serve my residents in Winthrop better.
Thanks, Deb.
That's Sandy Steele. I'm just wondering on that, like, how many weeks would it fall that you would have holidays? And because then, like he said, then you're not open 4 days a week, you're open 3. And then how's the community going to react to that when you're only open 3? And then if you throw snow days, because I know, I think you go under the state of Maine's snow day. So you just call it, I mean, I don't know. I have to go to work in a snowstorm, so I don't know. But I'm wondering how that will all work because you're now at 4. And oftentimes I get notices that the office is closed, and not that I don't want anyone not to be safe, but when you're at 5 days and you close once, you still have 4 days. But if you're at 4 days and there's a holiday and a snow day, now you're open 2 days a week. That week's, how does that all work? That's I'm not opposed to it, but how does that all?
I think Anthony is going to try to answer your question.
I am. So let's say we have Mr. Garrett's schedule of 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. If a holiday fell on a Monday, so the office would then be open 32 hours a week, right? Under this schedule, if a holiday falls on a Monday, you'd still be open 30.5 hours that week. It's not an appreciable difference. Snow days, we don't necessarily follow what the state does. We wait until the morning of, I consult with our public works director, our police department, and then we make the call. And oftentimes we're here before the state reports to work. Maybe the nicest compliment Roy has ever given me is last year we had fewer snow days than in the past.
We live in Maine. It's
I understand.
the world doesn't stop.
I understand, but mainly that was a commentary on how you're nice you are to me, Roy. So, under that same scenario, let's say we have the 5-day work week. Let's say Monday's a holiday, Tuesday's a snow day. Well, then you're only open for 24 hours. And under this scenario, you'd be open for, let's say we're open Wednesday and Tuesday, we're open for 20.5 hours. So it's not an appreciable difference in my mind, when you factor in holidays and snow days. Most of the year, it doesn't snow. Most of the year, you don't have a Monday holiday.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Just a couple more points I've been thinking of here. I, for one, have, I do a lot of my registrations on Friday. Friday, me is a day that I can kind of wind down and take care of things that are left untouched. The other thing is a lot of other people have Fridays off. So having Fridays off for a lot of other people is a good day to get to the town office to have, get some stuff registered or whatever needs to happen. One other question I had is, say, if we're looking to serve people that get out of work at 5 and, the normal business hours, get out of work at 5 o'clock and get to the town office and get business done by 5:30, they would have to live within, what, 8 minutes, 7 minutes, 9 minutes of the town office.
So when someone walks in our door by 5:30, we take care of them. We don't turn them away and say, we can't get this done within time. If they're walking in the door by 5:30, or maybe even a little after 5:30, we're waiting on them, we're getting it done. We're not turning anybody away. And respectfully, with you coming in to do work on Fridays, could you not come in like after 5:30 or come in at 6 and get that work done?
A lot of times I don't stop working until 9 at night.
Yeah. Again, we're trying to reach the most need for the most residents. And so I do understand that a lot of people do have Fridays off. I just feel like it hits better to have extended hours on either end of the day instead of regular banker's hours, because it will reach those residents that don't have that flexibility. That's another option as well, but whatever we do, it need to be consistent because it confuses people.
I got a couple more things I want to add. If everybody else is all good. Okay. I don't know if you guys have gotten plenty of accolades, but I'm going to chime in. I think you guys do a great job as well.
Could I ask Deb what she thinks of like a 6-month review or something? I'm sorry, Jim.
Let me give a chance here. Andy, I'll let you chime back in a minute if you'd like. Couple of things. I too sometimes run in and I like Fridays because it's nice. And if I've forgotten something and I'm going to go away for the weekend, it's always handy. I think about the non-residents, maybe they're coming up for the weekend and they don't leave their work until Thursday night to drive up here or wherever they're coming from. I see both scenarios. I mean, Mark was the other day, my son had to come up, check with him, and he said, what time is it? I says, shoot, I think it's 5 o'clock, but I know he's there because it's Wednesday night. So he was able to go up there. That's all convenient, and I love it. I think it's great, and I think it's great what we're doing, and I'm happy we did propose the new change that we have today. I kind of was hoping to go for another 6 months like that, get some more raw data the way it's flowing right now, just to kind of see where we're at with everything. Because I really would like to understand maybe if there's traffic in the morning, is it light? If it is, then let's not do the 7:30 or the 8 a.m. Let's do 8:30 to 6. If we were to do 4 days a week. And, just kind of figuring out if not too many early birds, maybe the people in the evening that would like to be open a little bit till the 6 o'clock hour consistently on 4 days. I know it wouldn't probably crowd you guys too much, but come in a little later, stay until 6. That way, you get the person coming out of 5. Usually they get time to get here and you guys got time to process, so you're not staying later. I also kind of understand, and I know people talked about the holidays, so that's already been addressed, but how does that affect, and it's different with different companies, with your time off? Is it you just take your scheduled time off, or you're getting paid for, I know this year, where everyone's going to get Friday off for Christmas and New Year's. How does that work when it's your day off? How does that work? How do they get paid when it's their scheduled day off and it's a holiday?
It's their scheduled day off and it's the holiday. I'd want to look at the personnel policy, but I don't know in that instance that someone would get another day. Deb, did you have a thought on that?
If it's their scheduled day off and they don't work, they don't get paid.
Okay. I was just a question. I just things pop in my head to thinking if we were running the schedule, that's kind of things what I have. So those are just a few things I just jotted down and I was thinking to listen to people talk. Like I said, I'd really like to see some of the, you guys say people come in, and I think it's great. And I think we do need to be consistent. There's absolutely, people need to know what time it is, but some people that say they didn't know, I think I kind of also blame them. I mean, they can come talk to me, but you guys do a great job of posting the times you're open and the alerts are out there. So when you're open and closed, so when they show up and you guys are closed, it's probably on them because you guys have certainly given them their due and their time to let you know when you're going to be there. So that's kind of where I'm at with everything right now with this topic. So I think we might have beaten the dead horse unless somebody else has anything else to say about it. And then, so we're looking at, we're going to look for, close the discussion. And I'll look for a suggested motion.
I will move to approve establishing public office hours of 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Wednesdays for the town clerks and code enforcement office.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Great. I think it's 4-3, yeah.
I want to thank you for your consideration for that. Even the ones that didn't support it, I appreciate your opinion.
Yeah, no, and it just knows I didn't support it. Doesn't mean I didn't think you guys don't you understand. You guys probably see it better than me. I have to see more data. That's just how my brain works. So I just kind of would want to see that. But
And just to be fair to the citizens, I mean, we won't implement this next week. I think we need some time to inform the public about it, announce it, market it. And so Deb and I will talk about that tomorrow and I'll let you know, but we'll give it some time so that people will know about the change in the schedule.
Aaron, you'd like to make a comment?
Yeah, and I was just going to say, it's still within our purview to make any adjustments down the road that we see fit. So
Absolutely.
I am not opposed to trying this.
Yeah.
I think too is, it's, it'll be incumbent upon us to keep kind of some data here so it satisfies the rest of the customers as to what the traffic is and.
Thank you, everybody. We'll move on to items 007, consideration of the minutes for December 1st, December 4th, December 15th of 2025 council meetings.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All are in favor? Move on to item 008, consideration of recommendations from the appointments committee.
On reappointment to the planning board, Mr. Stewart, and I would move that we confirm his reappointment.
Second.
All in favor? All right, let's move on now to other business. Go to open it up for a public comment. Anybody else like to come to the podium and have anything to say?
Can I say something or?
I would think probably wait till council comment if you wouldn't mind, Linda. Seeing no one online. I don't want to keep forgetting that. So good. So, all right, we'll go to manager's report.
I'm going to steal Linda's thunder here because I got a sneak preview of this. But she was noticing the solar development on Route 202. Stop me if I get any of this wrong, Linda. And I did look at our solar ordinance. I was kind of surprised at how old it was, given that solar's, fairly new development and all. And I think I've mentioned to a couple of you, I was also surprised at how skinny the ordinance was compared to where I live. And so I spoke with our planner, Don Emerson, about this. And so if you guys want to do for our planning board to do a review of the solar ordinance and see if there's some further regulations that it may want, that you may want in regards to solar, we're definitely open to that. And in doing so, what we could also consider as well as they're working on that is a moratorium ordinance that would put a hold on any sort of solar applications as that work is happening. So if you guys are interested in that, let us know and we will work on it.
I, for one, am interested in it.
Me too.
That development up there and wasn't aware it was solar, but I found out it was. And the thing is I think that I would like to propose at least some moratorium language at our next meeting to consider that, the town council consider a moratorium at their next meeting and have a public hearing on it. And when are we meeting again? In 2 weeks?
Well, we're going to talk about that here in just a sec.
So that would be something I would propose.
I do have a question. Several people asked me. That particular solar project, there's a year to start on those permits. And it seems like they didn't quite make that year to start. And I see Mark's right there, ready to.
Extend. You have to understand with solar projects, it's not like a typical building product. It takes months to years to get through CMP's regulations to get them installed. So to be fair, and I love that you guys are looking at a moratorium in solar to slow down the projects. I just really ask that you guys give the planning board some really good, clear indications of what you're looking for so that they know what they're addressing so that, and I agree, a moratorium and a slowdown and figure some things out with solar.
Isn't that particular project on 202, isn't that a high impact area?
No, that's actually rural zoning.
Well, do they consider all of that area as impervious area?
No, actually, the Maine Department of Environmental Protection does not recognize solar panels as impervious. Because of the meadow product. So they put meadow mix, so what they call meadow mix underneath it. So it's.
I'm gonna let Andy talk real quick, but we're gonna get back to the manager's report. So we're not
Yeah,
gonna.
sorry, Gail, I'm on here.
Andy want to make a quick
The
comment. in
thing
fairness,
is-
So
When it start, when they apply for CMP or when they get the building permit?
I can speak to that because that's what
let's save it for,
Okay.
let's save it for another thing. Cause otherwise we're gonna go extend this thing into all night long. But if you guys want to have this discussion, but let Anthony finish the manager. Thank you, Mark, though, for being willing. I just think we'll drag this conversation into the night. So go ahead.
Speaking of moratoriums, the planning board is going to be considering some different definitions and uses in the zoning ordinance, including for rehab facilities. And I previously sent you an email just updating you on the status of a potential facility here in our community. Again, I've spoken with Dawn about this. We are in agreement that maybe we should also have a moratorium on those sort of applications until the planning board also finishes its work defining what uses are allowed where in our community.
Can I propose another public hearing?
I think it's fair, but I think the moratorium probably is in need so we can figure it out for the planning board. We're gonna give them time. It's fair, we can't just impose everything on those guys and have them turn it on a dime, so.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I don't know why it hasn't been done.
Um,
I'm not happy that we went through a process with, now granted, yes, it wasn't necessarily a treatment facility, but we saw and recognized the problem. We saw and recognized that Heritage had gone for sale. I don't quite understand how we got to this point.
There wasn't consensus on the planning board. There is now.
So
We can.
Thank you.
All right.
Continue.
All right. So to the question that Linda raised a little earlier about our next meeting date. So the next month, the third Monday of the month falls on MLK Day. I am going on vacation from the 23rd through the end of the month. And so among the options are, if you guys really want to meet on MLK Day, guess what? I'll come here and I'll meet on MLK Day. No, I would want to be here.
He'll still be here. Just
Yeah.
saying he's going on vacation after the fact.
Yeah. If you want, and I don't know, Deb, help me out with this. If we were going to post notice of a moratorium ordinance, how much notice would we have to give? public hearing, so 7 days. Yeah, so we could have one next week, but probably not on Mondays, just so that we could post the notice of the public hearing for the moratorium. Or we could meet sometime after the 19th on that week, say like on that Tuesday, the 20th.
So I'd rather have you here, so I'm open to meeting
You meet
next
on
week.
Tuesday. Anybody else open?
I'm open,
Meets next Tuesday.
Right.
But
Oh, that's right. Thank you for reminding.
we could always meet in that room.
he.
Well,
We could.
Let's-
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in favor of keeping the town council meetings on
I
the
don't wanna-
regular days,
Wait.
you know,
Wednesday of next week?
to discuss.
Is it 10 days, you think?
Is it 10 or is it 7?
That'd be 9.
But a moratorium ordinance wouldn't be the land use ordinance. So we would just be having a moratorium. Yeah.
Oh,
Just want to
Why, isn't the 19th our regular meeting?
Holiday.
So
Push it a week out?
We can do any time next week other than 13th. Well, and other than Monday, because we need at least 7 days to post the notice.
Why don't we tentatively say, yeah, we'll say Wednesday, but find out what we need, find out legally what we need to do for a posting. Because if it's only, I thought it was only the 3 or 4 days, but I may be way off.
Yeah, it's more than that. So Don, I saw your message. So Don's saying that there's a planning board meeting planned for next Wednesday here. So
Yes, there is.
maybe Thursday's the best date.
We need that.
So is the council going to put the moratorium on? Ask the planning board to consider it.
No, the council would approve the moratorium ordinance.
We have to approve it.
And it's fairly simple. I mean, you may recall we did it with the mining ordinance and all. And so we've already got the language. It's simply plug and play with the language. So it's simple.
and I'd like to propose it as of January 1 this year. Moratorium would be effective.
Oh, you want to make it
Retro-
retroactive? We
yes.
can do that.
Retroactive to January 1 of.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Thursday, let's just, and then we won't just make it,
give us.
Yeah. just keep it light.
Mark would have to give us feedback on if there's nothing that has come in the last week, correct? Solar and
How about?
okay, what about, Heritage? Heritage, the old Heritage, anything there? Okay,
So why can't we do both of them for
We can. I
I
retroactive?
say we do both
January
of them,
1?
we just keep that like
Yes.
the schedule, just do those two. We'll discuss that. Is everybody comfortable with that?
Yeah, well, and we've got a warrant to be approved, so we'll keep it fairly light.
Light. Yeah.
I still have an unanswered question.
I'm sorry, what's your
Go ahead,
question?
Andy.
The unanswered question is, does the permit period start when the applicant applies to CMP or when the applicant applies to the town?
So our moratorium would relate to applications.
I'm not
that-
talking about the moratorium, I'm talking about the permit origination. It seems to me that the start period for the 202 project is way over the 1 year to start.
Okay, that's a
That-
different
that- I
discussion.
guess that'd be something you could take it up with Mark. You guys can, he can probably explain that one to him.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it right now, but
We only have 7 days, so
we have plenty of time.
yeah. So we'll get it posted tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
We can figure that answer out for you, Andy. But that's that whole process.
Here's a question for next Thursday too. Do you want to also have the second reading of the special amusement ordinance on that date? Do you want to wait and do that on the first
Let's
meeting
do
in
that. Yeah,
February?
let's do that one later, because that one's gonna be a longer discussion and we're gonna have more people here.
Okay,
Because I still want to talk to you about some different things. So I'm
Okay.
sure other folks want to too, so.
all right. I'm going to skip a couple of things on my list, but
Okay.
I do want to bring up that tomorrow night, 5 PM in this room, we're going to have the county budget committee caucus at which hopefully at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
No, I'm sorry, 5 o'clock on the 6th, 5 o'clock tomorrow in this room. Hopefully it'll be 15 minutes, if that long, in which you guys will have an opportunity to vote for.
Yeah, I got a cemetery meeting. I think at 4:30.
Oh, you'll be here then? Okay,
Okay. So I'll be here by myself.
okay.
I'll be here.
5 o'clock in order to elect an appointed official, moi, as a representative on the budget committee. Mm-mm. On the 13th, as Aaron previously mentioned, Charter Commission meeting in this room at 6 p.m. That's the 13th. And the only other thing I'm going to mention, I'm going to skip over some other things, but the only other thing I'm going to mention is we are going to be issuing some RFPs for some different trade services like plumbing, electrical, carpenter, and then tree services as well. So that anytime that we need something in those regards, we don't have to fish around for quotes. We'll already have a contract with someone with a quoted price, likely per hour.
Just like we do with the real estate.
Similar, but it'll be based on an hourly rate or whatever, or however they charge for their service. I think that'll just make it much more efficient for us anytime we need any of those services and we don't have to go out searching for quotes or bids or anything. We'll already have a contract in place. So just with that, and I'll just cut the town manager report short right there.
Good. Thank you, Anthony. Now, town council comment. Linda. You stole your thunder? All right. All right. Aaron, go ahead.
Anthony, I was just gonna ask you, did we figure out downtown lights in the post? Did
I did.
that company get back to you?
Yes, they did. Those are not our lights. Those are the post office's lights.
How is that possible?
That's who owns them.
Put the name on them.
So they own, but that's tied to the same circuit? Is that?
I don't know. I don't know about that, but I specifically asked that question. They specifically said, yeah, we looked into that. Those are not part of the town's lights. Those are owned by the Postal Service.
Yeah.
Okay.
Control over.
Anything else? Great. With that, I don't close this meeting, do I yet? Is that, we're just jump to the next.
Make a motion that we move into executive session 1 MRSA 4056D for labor negotiations.
Second.
In favor? Thank you, everybody. All right, so I did sign one.
Yeah, right here,
Thank you.
right here.
Thank you. You're fine. Yes, she's taking care of me. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Session.
And this time, I'd like to make a motion that we James King as a planning board member due to attendance violations.
Second.
All in favor? I see all is in favor. Thank you. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, guys.